Hey there, and welcome back to another My Hero Academia Vigilantes video. And yes, I've fallen behind once again. And so today we're going to be talking about episode 11, The Day Of, which promised a whole lot of awesome stuff at the end of the previous episode, namely the confrontation between the B-Quirk user and Knuckle Duster, as well as some drama that's going to unfold surrounding that rooftop mall concert that Makoto spruced up as a favour for Pop Step. Finally, we're getting to the big clash of the season. And yeah, I'm pumped, let's go. We start off with a cold open that sort of recaps everything you need to know for the episode, reminding us why they're holding the concert like this to begin with. The city centre was smashed up and trampled by the Godzilla villain, and in the aftermath, Pop Step agreed to join an ensemble performance of indie artists who are going to be at the grand reopening of the local mall, with Koichi joining her as moral support under the guise of being her manager. The scene cuts back and forth between Koichi narrating that bit of exposition, whilst Knuckle Duster hunts down Hachisuka across Narahara, building up to their promised confrontation, which by this point in the season is all I've been waiting for. Everything has been built into this moment, and it's time that we get a full-on fight again. The last really epic one was Stendhal versus the Vigilantes, which went really hard, and so it needs to be on that level at least, considering this is going to be the season-anchoring confrontation that will plant the seeds for Season 2. The intro theme plays, and we cut over to what is honestly the less interesting storyline. Don't get me wrong, the sequences with the performers are funny and all, but my god, coming off that cliffhanger at the end of the previous episode where Knuckle Duster's honed in on Hachisuka, that left me wanting to see some action pronto. We end up not seeing it until the last 5 minutes of the episode though. The last 5 minutes. Oh, talk about a tease. Oh well, back to the performers. Pop and Koichi enter the green room and meet up with Makoto, who introduces them to an indie idol duo named Feathers, who dress in matching blue, and who immediately start to mean girl it with Pop. Damn. Really sets you up to hate these characters right from the get-go because they're just being mean for no reason and doing that intentional loud whisper thing. I will say I did find it sweet when Pop grabbed onto Koichi's sleeve for some moral support though. Back to the duo, it was doubly annoying because they treat her like trash, and she later has this moment where she's really kind to them, and it feels like she earns their respect, which shouldn't be how it goes if you ask me. She doesn't get that moment where they genuinely apologise or get humbled in some way. So that pissed me off right from the beginning. But the rest of this scene is honestly just wall-to-wall comedy moments. The dance squad walks in all prim and proper, really intense and aggressive about how their heart and expressive movement's all they need. They don't desire to wear costumes and to look pretty. At least, until the dance captain meets the leader of the band that's been contracted to play at the event, the Mad Hatters, and they have a love at first sight moment, which completely overwrites her brain and fills her with the need to appear pretty. Meanwhile, that same guy, who was at first super angry that he and his band were selling out and playing this concert because they're betraying the principles of true rock, sees her face, and he's suddenly a passionate member of the ensemble. I'll admit, I found this all very funny. We follow this up with a pretty long-winded discussion of the plans for the group until they're set to perform, which seems to be about a week from the meeting. So all of them have their tasks. The band needs to learn to play the music for the jingle, the dance squad will practice their routine and also train up Feathers, who Makoto claims have minimal stage presence. Ouch. Whilst Pop Step has to practice her singing, because Makoto agrees. It's bad. Oof, double ouch. Probably even more brutal, because whilst you can probably learn to dance a bit better in a week, especially with coaches, Pop's singing is not going to get that better on her own in a single week. That's gotta hurt. We then have a fun little training montage where everybody's preparing for the big day, only for one of the Bluehead singers to get injured during training with the dance squad, which is going to lead into Pop's big moment of compassion for the Blue 2, which still feels unearned, but whatever. We cut briefly over to Captain Celebrity where he clobbers yet another kaiju villain, and I have to say that theme song that's playing in the background of the scene where he's whooping its ass, absolute peak cinema. The scene is short, yes, but so epic. Hope this guy doesn't end up getting killed or anything like that because he's a lot of fun. He then goes on to shill his appearance at the concert with his group of fanboys handing out flyers to anybody nearby. Everything about Captain Celebrity since Makoto forced him to reform his image is just perfection. Goofy costume and hair, knock-off All Might voice, arrogant dialogue, the fact that he has that horde of fanboys in his cheer squad that kind of freak him out. It's just so funny. Makes me want to see him more and more. We then come to the meeting room again, where it's revealed that one of the Blue 2 are injured, and the dance captain's gotten a new haircut for the show. Pop Step pitches her the injured singer should stand in the center of the stage, with the other and Pop dancing around her to play to their strengths. And this is treated as this big wholesome moment, but once again, I can't help but remember them talking mad shit, and not apologizing, even now. They don't even thank her. I honestly hate these two characters. Then we have the return of one of my favorite character beats, Koichi being a social failure and disgrace. When the lead hatter walks in, he immediately notices the new haircut of the dance captain, and of course he finds it dreamy. But to prevent her being psyched out and distracted before the big day, he decides he's not going to say anything until after Narufest. Of course, Koichi then bulldozes through all of that and outwardly recognizes that she has a haircut, but not in a friendly, "Oh look, your new haircut's so nice" kind of way, but in the backhanded, "Oh wow, you got a haircut, you look so different, it's so short" sort of way. The type of way that leaves you feeling bad about yourself. Which is what happens here. No wonder he has no friends. Here we finally get a look at some of the darker elements of the show again. I will admit the first half of the episode has been fun, but now I'm ready to get into it. First up, we have a creepy Hachisuka scene where she's walking into what seems to be a garage and starts monologuing about the Captain Celebrity concert and how there's going to be appearances by a bunch of surprise heroes. Thus, she's decided to unleash a villain for them to face down. So we immediately think it's going to be an instant villain because, apart from Stendhal, those are the only villains she's ever used. Only for the creepy reveal to be that she still has that simp guy, who I honestly thought she just murdered and used as a beehive or something. But now she's actually done something to him. He doesn't look right. Ugh, he's extra slick, extra gooey, oily, slimy. What is the stuff on the outside of eels? What do they call it? Looks nasty. Either way, she gets him on the trailer pop step once again, before we cut over to the day of the festival, where the daytime block hosted by Present Mike has just ended, and now our leads are getting ready for their big moment. Popstep's briefly having a panic because of how many people are out there, whilst Koichi once again proves himself to be utterly incapable of being involved in social events. First by completely destroying the dance captain when he sees her in her costume, claiming that he guesses that a costume can make anybody look good, cutting off the dreamy thoughts of the band leader, who was just in the middle of waxing poetic about her beauty and their love. He then goes on to see Midnight make her entrance alongside a bunch of other heroes, and then he openly lusts after her in front of everybody, screaming out that she looks so sexy. I mean, Midnight probably isn't all that much better, because when she enters, she's excited by all the youthly hormones. Ugh. But still, Present Mike comes in and we have some banter between him and Midnight, and it seems that no matter what, in their friend group, whenever Present Mike is around, one of them has to be dry and mean to him to keep him in check. I get it, he would be a bit much. This then leads into a transition to Aizawa, who's supposed to be at the event, but who hasn't turned up yet. We see that he's walking the streets, pretty mad about the fact that he has to attend this thing. Considering he's an underground hero that doesn't want fame and prestige, going to a big concert with a big name like Captain Celebrity hosting doesn't feel like it's going to be up his alley. Luckily for him, a villain attacks, which is later revealed to be the creepy eel guy, but now he's had what seems to be an extra strength dose of that new super trigger. To tell you the truth, wasn't really much of a fight. Aizawa arrives and uses his scarf to grab him, and somehow he holds him back from walking. How strong's Aizawa? Even if the scarf is somewhat what provides the strength, he'd have to be massively powerful in his core and his legs and his neck to avoid being pulled along for the ride. Especially since the scarf didn't even tie up the eel dude's legs either, so he could still walk if he wanted to. But he doesn't, because he's somehow being overpowered. My god. I mean, honestly, the capture scarf is and always has been one of the biggest plot-contrived bullshits in the show, but still. The only in-universe explanation that works is that Aizawa really must be that strong. Aizawa discovers, much like Knuckles and Koichi did, that this dude is one slippery eel, and he gets out of the scarf and tries to escape. Aizawa tries and fails to kick him before tying him up with the scarves again, in the most bullshit way ever. How did he possibly do this? How? What is going on here? How did he have enough scarf to do this in the first place?
Like, does it just come out of your wrists, or does it come out of anywhere else?
Look how much he used to tie him up! And yet he still has more. Went full Spider-Man here. The eel starts crying out for Pop, and also I just realized that this guy's meant to be 19 years old. 19! I thought he was meant to be younger than Pop, maybe like the age of the X-Men middle schoolers. Maybe like 12. Gross! Throw this dude in the bin! With Hachisuka's encouragement, he starts to unleash his electric powers, which knocks out a generator, and also himself, which was a bit of an anticlimax. I really thought there was going to be a bigger fight here that draws in more heroes, but this guy just burned himself out almost immediately. Hachisuka celebrates a job well done, before she gets a phone call where she's scolded by All For One for taking too many risks, and for using and losing a test subject, which is where Knuckle Duster at last makes his entrance in the final 5 minutes of the episode, and confronts her. He starts talking directly to his daughter, calling her by her name and yelling at the Beakwork user to shut up when she asks questions about what's going on. So yeah, clearly there's some sort of mind control going on then. It's got to be something to do with that eye patch, right? When she realizes what's going on, she begins to laugh and the battle begins, with Knuckle Duster using what seems to be a stun gun instead of just straight up wailing on her with his fists. She mocks him for this, claiming that he can't win because he doesn't want to scratch his little girl, which leads to him punching her in the face with a normal Knuckle Duster and cutting her open. I love this. Just a fun little psych out for the audience, where you know that he has to fight hard for the win, and you're waiting for that moment of sadness where he realizes the only way to save his daughter is to injure her body so that she can't keep fighting. You expect it to go on like this for a while and for him to start to lose until he has that moment of clarity. Instead though, he just says "nup" and punches her in the face. And he laughs, telling her that his stun gun is so powerful that if it hits her in the chest, she'll die. He reveals that he isn't and he never was playing around. He'll stop his daughter and save her by any means necessary. It's just a fun subversion of expectations. Thus, she steps up her game too, revealing that the bees don't all have trigger. Some are explosive. She blasts him with a warning shot and then seemingly fully blows him up with a swarm of them, only for Knuckle Duster to step through the smoke and flames, scoffing that by making so many bomb bees, she's weakened herself. They've clearly become less powerful the more she's made. Whilst the first probably hurt him, the rest are just smoke and mirrors to scare him off. But it didn't work, and so she's forced to flee with Knuckles in hot pursuit, which was building up my hype so much. Hell yeah, round 2, this time maybe with some more heroes and villains getting mixed up in it, you never know. And then the episode ends. I audibly groaned. Man, come on, just when it was heating up. But hey, at least the preview for the next episode does promise a whole lot more going forward, so there's that. I hope that it lives up to the hype. And so with all that being said, that's the end of the episode, and these have been my opinions, and now I'd like to hear yours. What did you think of the episode? Did you like it, hate it? I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know.